Welcome to You Can Sit with LUXE, our new podcast where real estate meets real life. Here we will take you behind the curtains at LUXE Properties to showcase our culture, our team, and how we elevate the real estate experience and everything in
Welcome
between.
to You Can Sit with LUXE. I am Wesley, your host, and I am here with Jonathan Alfonso today. It is my pleasure to introduce him. He is a heavyweight in the real estate industry. He not only is a realtor, he is also an attorney. He runs a large team, and he is your president of Miami Association of Realtors. So with that being said, Jonathan, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to your team. Your team, very impressed by the coordination. I got like questions ahead of time, like schedule. No, it's true. I've done a couple of these so organized. Like you guys are doing a great job with it. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. All right, so walk us through your journey. How did you get involved in real estate, become obviously a really big attorney in the fields here, and also run a title company?
I guess starting from the start, I got a bachelor's and master's in accounting. The objective was always to go to law school. Went to law school, graduated in 2007 to the Great Recession. There was no jobs. I think 20% of my class got offered a job. It was really bad. Everybody in those days, I mean, you and I grew up in the same era, right, of real estate. It's interesting to talk to the young guns now who only know like post-COVID like craziness. And, I laugh because, back then graduated, ended up doing foreclosure defense. I ended up realizing really quick I was doing foreclosure defense. I helped somebody that was doing an investment, and then they bought an investment deal, and then they did another one. And, to be quite honest, it was a very easy switch for me because with foreclosure clients, you met with them, hey, let's lose your house on your terms. And then I met with a client who was like, hey, I want to buy a house. Hey, I want to buy another one. I couldn't help people lose a house a second time. Really like the investment, the number side with my accounting background. That turned into buying properties in foreclosure auctions. That turned into me representing Wall Street groups. We ended up being at one point the biggest buyers at foreclosure auctions. Like I always tell people, Wall Street would put $10 million in my account on Tuesday, and they'd call the next Tuesday and said, we're sending you another 10 million. And I was like, please stop sending me money. You're freaking me out. I can't spend it fast enough. That kind of led to my progression. We stabilized a portfolio of about 3,000 homes. That's how I kind of learned the valuation side, got licensed. And then we were doing title. And that's right around the era where you started to see, all these coaches and everything. And I'll never forget the moment. I went to a Tom Ferry conference. This was like 2019. And I'm sitting in there watching him train realtors. And at the time, I was trying to understand how I could better serve, right, from the title company perspective, because our law firm at that point was mainly doing closings. And he's like, if you're not adding your affiliates and you're not getting affiliate revenue, like you're not going to survive in this industry. And I was like, so that's what's happening. And that kind of led to an aha moment for me where I was like, well, what if I start to build out a team? That kind of led to me founding Portal. We founded a team. We were independent up until like 2022. We did on our own, we did like about 100 million in 2022. And then we merged with a larger independent, national brokerage. And that's where I am today. And then obviously through that got into leadership and, serving in the association.
And I met you in all of that journey when you were doing all those foreclosures. And I think I was dealing with foreclosures myself.
Do you remember exactly how it happened? Because I always tell people the story. It was at your house. So if you remember, Lucy put us together.
Yes.
And in your house, this was at the time that I was going on my own to start my law firm, where I told people, hey, I'm quitting my 6-figure job. I want to represent Wall Street groups, buying properties at auctions, because that's where I had made a name for myself. And you came out with a sign and you're like, I'm starting LUXE Properties. And we were in your living room, and I think it was me, you, Lucy, and 2 other friends.
I don't remember. Some wine for sure. God knows what we were doing.
Yeah, we were just drinking wine. You're like, I'm starting LUXE Properties. And it was like, I think you were at Fortune at the time.
I was at Fortune, yep.
Yep. So.
And it's very cool to see how we've actually grown from that level of us just talking crap in a kitchen one day, and look at us now, and look at you, Miami Association of Realtors President. So very, very proud to see, or are very honoring to see your growth over the years.
Well, I think we both have the battle scars.
Yeah, for sure. Those foreclosure years were brutal. You spoke a little bit about leadership. So obviously you wear so many different hats. If we're talking about it, so do I, so do a lot of people, which is a great thing, but you excel in everything you do and you still serve and give back. What drew you into leadership?
I have a difficult time with that. I think you just end up in leadership as you grow and you progress. I think the hard thing is people try to reverse engineer and ask me how can I do that, or how can I do this, and I don't think there's anything. And it's your trajectory, it's my trajectory. I mean, think about it. 11 years ago we were in your kitchen, with like just basically kids who wanted to grow in the industry and progress. I think at the end of the day, it's just like a mentality of serving and giving back, because I think even before I was at the association, I did a lot of work with United Way. And I helped found small business. I was with young leaders, but I think ultimately it's just, are you serving and helping to lift others up? I just think it came natural for me. I remember serving at one point, and what it really turned into is I had a couple years that I made the kind of money that I always wanted to make, and it felt empty. If that makes any sense. Like I was just like, all right, cool. Like I made the money. What now? And then I remember we did like a toy drive, and we dressed as Santa, and we gave all these toys to kids, and it made me so happy. And it made me realize, like, I like this kind of stuff. Like that kind of fills a void. And then little by little you serve here and there, and then certain things happen and you grow. But I think most of it comes from just trying to be of service to others, right? Like it sounds cliche and it sounds corny, but it's just, I wanted to fill the gaps, right?
No, and it's true, but you also get rewards from it too, right? I would say if you do get to meet a lot of people, you also invest a lot of time. I don't know. I see a laugh coming from you, so I don't know what's.
well, look, you're absolutely right. There's benefits. There's just you can't directly correlate it. And I think the hardest thing that we suffer is that people will immediately say like, "What's the ROI?"
Yeah.
And I'll give you a perfect example. United Way. I started in 2013 with them. I met a bunch of people. I even still remember when one of our friends who's also in real estate joined, I was like, if you bring a bunch of real estate people here, I will. Like, I was like, this is my my little ecosystem where I like get away from all of that. And I did it for 9 years, and I never got business. I never got anything, but I was so fulfilled, and I was happy like being involved and helping them, and I love all those people there. Like they were part of my journey, and to this day I'm always like, however I can help, even though these days I'm like, look, I'm in a different position, so obviously my time is limited with children, same as you, but I didn't see anything. And then all of a sudden, fast forward, like I would say like 2021 or something, I get like 7 different deals that like I could trace back, like, oh, I met this guy through here, and I was like, but that was never the objective. And I think it goes back to, listen, I was just trying to help others. And I think truly when you're helping others, or I don't like the phrase leadership. I think when you're just doing stuff that fulfills you, people learn who you truly are. And as that happens, they're kind of like, I like this person. And when they have an opportunity to send business, they will, because they trust you.
Yeah.
So
I think you expand your network, you attract, the right kind of people around you, and all of those things are naturally going to fall into place. And I think you're 100% right. Leadership isn't to grow your business, but it does happen naturally just because you're doing the right thing and you're opening the doors to the right people around you. Now, I have a question. And this wasn't on the questions, but when I was a president in Miami Realtors ages ago, it was a huge investment of time. You are finishing your leadership year as president, and I feel now it's even more of an investment in time than when I was doing it. I have a question. Would you do it again? You weren't expecting this.
This is a second, but it's a second time I've been asked this. And absolutely, I think I can still trace back the moment where I was asked to come back on the board in 2022, and it was our current chairman, Eddie Blanco, who I have a lot of admiration for him, and he asked me to come back. And my second child had just been born, and the first words out of my mouth, like just kind of like Tourette syndrome, I was like, hell no. I was like, hell to the no. And then I stopped myself and I said, well, what's going on? And he's like, well, look, this is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do. And I was just like, so busy with everything. And I was like, but at the same time, and it's funny because recently I had a situation that reminded me of this. I always think of this phrase, which I tell my agents or I tell others, I'm like, are you going to be part of the solution or are you going to be part of the problem? So at that moment, I realized, like, if I want to make things better, if I want to make real estate better, if I want to make transactions better, like, then I have to sit at the table, right? And one of the sayings we always say in our little leadership group is, right, if you're not If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And that kind of, I was like, you know what, I need to come back. And then absolutely, I mean, look, truth be told, and I've said this to several people, like my business this year is down 50%.
Yeah.
And I say that because I'm so sick and tired of people going on social media and lying about their business and lying about how great they are. Like it kicked my, it was difficult. At certain points I was learning through it. There were situations that were completely unforeseen. Like I got named president, NAR loses the huge judgment, NAR settled. Like I got named president and like the world collapsed around us, you know, and I say to our fellow presidents, like, you know, people always be like, oh, my, you know, I hear some of them and I'm kind of like, please, you know, they're like, my year, we had a new condo form. And I'm like, yeah, well, my year, they like redid real estate. So, but yeah, absolutely, I would do it again. You know, I think my decisions and the variables that I analyzed when I made the decision are the same. And it was like, can I contribute and can I add value? Yes. And that's why I did it.
And I just want to say, and I just want to add, I think you've done a phenomenal job. You really advocated for agents. And I will add to that I think you were the right leader at the right time, because we always need people like you that are willing to speak up and say things that a lot of people won't say. So kudos to you with whatever you want to speak up.
Listen, coming from you, that means a lot. Thank you.
All right, now let's switch gears a little bit. You're in a room with a lot of important people all the time in your leadership roles, whether it be Miami Realtors, whether it be when you were coaching with Tom Perry, if you still are, right? I'm not sure if you are, but either way, I know that you see a lot of different people from different experiences in real estate. And on top of that, you see from a leadership role, you know, your agents' boots on the ground. What trends are you seeing in agents today that from the agents that are succeeding?
It's very simple. They're putting in the work. You know, I think I was showing you that quote right before it. It's like when there's madness, like people doing the average work will still be ahead. And I don't think I think everybody is trying to find some mythical thing, or they're trying to point at something, or they're trying to find, you know, the new social media rule, a little gimmick, or they're trying to find a new CRM or this little campaign. And at the end of the day, if you can put in 8 hours of work, that's what I'm seeing is working. And look, I'm a perfect example. I'm at the end of my term, you know, being president is really, as you know, because you were president of YPN, is a 2-year journey. I'm at the end of it. And really the last 6 months, you're already you're trying to help the next person on their way up. And 6 months ago, I said, listen, I'm passing everything on to my president-elect. Like, I'm out. I need to focus on my business, because I literally was looking at my numbers and I'm like, and I went down and started doing everything that I need to be doing, making the calls, responding, scheduling the meetings, like the stuff that not going out there and trying to find some podcast from some guy who's promising, you know, some coaching course. Like, no, I just made calls and business is up tremendously. Like, we're about to announce a bunch of amazing listings and we have a ton of good business. And 2026, I'm probably going to do in the first quarter of 2026, I'm going to double what I did in all of 2025.
That's amazing. Putting in that work. And I think people overrate the importance of all those other shiny new objects and really underrate how important it is to just pick up the phone and call and show up and do what they need to do. What are your trends, or what do you think a realtor needs in 2026 to succeed other than putting in the work? What are tips and tricks you can kind of give those agents looking to transition from maybe 2025 not being the best year for them and growing into 2026, in addition to putting in that work?
I really wish I could sit here and tell you that I'm seeing that, like, I had some specific answer for you, and I really just don't. Like, even at our office, it's creating, if you want to take it a step further, it's creating the systems, it's putting in the work, it's focusing on the high value activities, you know, and I think if I had to look at it from a global perspective, I think what I would do if I were an agent is I would do a serious self-assessment of yourself and your time before you go into 2026 and ask yourself, can you do differently? You know, and what would I do to grow? Like, I have a new agent that joined me, and he's been amazing. Like, the kind of agent who listens, takes notes, follows what I say. And I was having a conversation with him, and he was just working on something he shouldn't be working on. And I just told him stop, and he's like, no, but I really want to help. I go, stop. I go, you work with that kind of client. That's the kind of client you attract. I go, you have these 4 other clients at much higher price points. kind of work you want to be doing? Like, why are you going to do that? He's like, well, but but I want them to refer me. I go, that person only refers you that kind of work. And that's grunt work. And you'll go halfway through the year of 2026 and you'll have what? Like 7K of GCI to show for it. So, that's really what I'm focusing on with them, and really focusing on cleaning up their databases, getting them like something very simple. And I say it, getting them to organize their database. And just, I've like dumbed it down to the level where I have, and I know you love to make videos for your agents, like step by step of this is how you get their name, this is how you get the address where they're at, like, and compiling it all into a spreadsheet so we can sit down and upload it and you can use the CRM tools.
I am the biggest advocate of databases and CRMs, and I think the realtor of the future has to adopt these things now. I think part of putting in that work is using technology to your advantage. But I want to give you another shout out, because one of the tips you gave me is something I'm actually doing all the time, which is making sure I have every buyer having their address in my CRM, looking up what they own right now. So got that from you. So I appreciate that. So let's go back to your attorney world. So in real estate, there has been so many lawsuits and so many changes, as you have just mentioned. But I would love to hear your perspective as an attorney. What are your thoughts on all these lawsuits and even the new ones that are swirling around?
Depends who you are, right? If we're looking at it from the perspective, or you or I, as business owners in the real estate arena, team leaders. I mean, you lead how many agents now? You have like close to what, 700?
No more. It's okay.
Sorry. I know it's high.
It was a joke.
But you have to kind of look at the playing field, right? And you're analyzing that. But then if you're the average agent, like at the end of the day, if you're doing 10 to 12 deals, and let's say at Miami now, which basically you could do $1 million price point, like you could do $10 million easily. There's 10 deals for you to get out there. The lawsuits and all of that is not going to affect you. Like, you need to do it. Me, on a personal level, as an attorney, I think we are over-indexing for these lawsuits. Like, now it's become like, we got to look out for the boogeyman everywhere. And at a certain point, like, we need to go service our customers. And even, like, even at the association in my role, like, I'm turning around as an attorney. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we can't keep pumping out 4-page like disclosure forms and spending all this time and then like scaring everybody into not wanting to go out there and transact. At the end of the day, like, there's still people out there that need to buy or sell a home. There's people that, have life situations that we need to help. And so I'm focused on that, because look, I do spend, unfortunately, like an hour or two a week reading up on it and understanding it. But that's just me, because I know it's going to come up in bigger rooms where I have to like kind of look at the playing field.
Of course.
But I mean, at the end of the day, if the world is going to end in the real estate arena, Wesley Ulloa, without her power, is not going to do it. Jonathan Alfonso, with his alleged connections, is not going to be able to stop it. It's just going to end, and there's nothing we can do about it. So let's just keep doing transactions.
Let's keep making money, right? And let's stop paying attention to all the noise, which I think everybody it's a distraction and a reason not to put in the work, right? Now, you and your leadership roles, or just you in your real estate roles, or even your attorney role, you have grown your career from the bottom up, right? Like a lot of people. What is some advice you would give from somebody who wants to take that next step wherever they are in that career? What is something you would tell them today or going into 2026?
I think number one, actually go out there and get involved, and do it really from a curiosity and service perspective. Like, go in there trying to learn, find the right rooms, network with the right people, like look around you. Like, nowadays, like I'm honestly, and I'll say it on a podcast, and and people can say it, like all these influencers like pitching their coaching programs. It's like, you sold 30 homes and now you want to sell a coaching program, and then people are following that. Like, really do an assessment of where you want to be and who you want to align with. Like, one of the things I always tell agents is like, stop going to happy hours. Like, if you want to invest 2 hours networking, find a lunch and learn where people are talking about a topic, and learn and meet people, and then find someone like a Wesley, somebody that's involved, and ask them, if there's something, can I come too? Can you bring me with you? That way they can introduce you to their other people, and start showing up and being present, but like really asking, how can I help, and how can I do it? Because a lot of people, for example, ask me about certain things. Like, I never asked for any of this. All I ever did is people would call me and say, like, I remember even even when I was at United Way, I remember I got a random call one day and they were like, dude, we don't know what to do. We need a DJ for this random event across town. Like, you have nothing to do with it. Like, we don't know who to call. And I was like, you need a DJ? I was like, give me an hour. I was like, this guy will be there in 2 hours. And they were like, what the hell? And then it's little things like that like had nothing to do with me. And just like that, there's like hundreds of examples, and and you give back and you help and you find ways to do things coming genuinely from a perspective of like, how can I help, and asking for nothing in return. And I think that's the hardest thing, right? Is putting yourself in those rooms, and then slowly you start to build a brand. Like Wesley Ulloa from LUXE, like your name comes up often, right? Like people will be like, oh, Wesley or whatever. And I'm like, good luck outworking her. I'm like, you will not outwork her, because she's always walking around with her laptop. Like she's always there. She's pretty responsive. And we get it, right? As responsive as you can be, managing as many things as you do. But like, she's working all the time, and like, that's why your agents gravitate, and that's why you have so many agents, and that's why you've been able to do it. You build a brand over time, showing time and time again who you are. I think too many people with leadership, like they want to show up into a room and they're like, they do one thing and they're like, well, I haven't gotten anything out of it. And you're like, that's not how this works. So, just show up, be present, be of service, and eventually, you're planting those seeds all over the place, and, something will come of it. What it is, I can't guarantee you. Nobody can.
Well, I love all of that. And I, of course, appreciate the kind words. But, I have a lot of thanks to you and a lot of influence to you, because you've also put me in a lot of great positions. And I appreciate you sharing all of that today. So we're going to close out like we always do. And we're going to do a little rapid fire. So you pick whichever one comes to mind for you first. And we're going to start with numbers or law.
Numbers.
Numbers? Okay, interesting.
Money. We all want to know what the money is.
How did you end up, like you were in an accounting background, but then you decided law? Like, where did that shift happen? I know this is rapid fire, but quick.
I'll give it to you very simply. I wanted to go to University of Florida. They offered me a scholarship. I have a Cuban single mother who refused to let me leave the house. She had no idea what I was going to do there. She's like, my best friend has an accounting degree. If you go, you got to get an accounting degree, because her friend said that was like one of the best ones to go into law. And I was like, fine, if it means I get to party for 4 years in UF, I'll do that.
Interesting. Market shifts, chaos or opportunity?
Opportunity.
Okay, like that. Hot takes or keep it political?
Depends on the room.
I think you're a little bit more hot takes. Serve the industry or keep it political?
Serve the industry.
Precision or speed?
Speed.
Cafecito or rum?
Cafecito.
Sneakers or loafers?
I'm wearing sneakers. Unfortunately, I'm in way too many rooms now that are elevated, and my loafer collection is growing just as quickly.
All right, so then we're going to have you on again and see what you wear the next time.
Happy to come back.
I appreciate you so much, Jonathan. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you, everybody, for watching. See you soon.